Donald Trump has long been chasing the Nobel Peace Prize. To achieve this goal, he chose a rather ironic path. He invited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is considered another war criminal, to the White House. Today, the two announced a peace plan at a joint press conference, claiming it would end the ongoing war in Gaza. However, what they actually presented was far from peace. Considering Israel's destructive operations in the region and civilian casualties, this plan seemed more like an attempt to legitimize the current situation. Before going into details, I have a small request. If you like this video and subscribe to our channel, you will be giving us tremendous support to continue our work. Now, let's get to one of the most striking parts of Trump's speech. The fact that he started complaining about the teleprompter right at the beginning foreshadowed the course of the speech.
Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years, at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job.
How many times a day or even an hour do we have to witness Donald Trump embarrassing us on the world stage? Trump shows at every opportunity that the number and quality of his political moves are extremely limited. The decisions he makes are not centered on the country's interests, but entirely on his own ambitions, personal grudges, and endless complaints. We saw the same picture today when he appeared before the cameras with Netanyahu. Too much whining, too little understanding. What they presented, even if it was called a plan, was too scattered and empty to actually be called a plan. The way Trump described this so-called peace initiative was strange and bizarre in itself.
Right now, as we speak, Joe, children are starving to death because of Israel's blockades.
Yeah.
Starving to death. And I brought forth two resolutions, which basically were very simple, and said no more U.S. military aid to Israel under these conditions. One vote got 15 votes in the Senate, the other one got 16. Do you think that members of the Senate do not know what's going on in Gaza? The kids are starving to death. The innocent people are being shot down right and left. They know it. Why do you think I couldn't get more votes?
They wouldn't vote against Israel.
Right.
It's political suicide.
Now you're talking.
Right.
All right. So in the Republican side, you have moneyed interests saying you speak up against Trump, you're out of here. In the Democratic side, you speak up against the Netanyahu government, you're out of here as well. And they have been successful. You have super PACs like AIPAC spending a fortune. You stand, and they have already knocked off a number of members of Congress, good members of Congress, and they will do it again. So all I'm saying is you got a corrupt campaign finance system on both sides, which is rejecting the will of the American people and end up supporting powerful special interests. And if we do not get a handle on that issue, I worry very much about the future of American democracy.
Yes, it is said that Netanyahu is doing his job. But if doing one's job means taking steps to destroy a people, then that is exactly what Israel is doing today. Systematic genocide. What is being presented here has nothing to do with peace or agreement. On the contrary, this initiative is based on forcibly removing Palestinians from their land, cleansing them from where they live. The goal is to pave the way for figures like Trump and his son-in-law Jared Kushner to build luxury hotels, resorts, and beachfront developments in that region. That is why it is crucial to articulate the stark reality behind such a plan, especially to demonstrate the moral clarity that everyone in the Democratic Party should exhibit. At this point, it is necessary to speak the truth clearly, rather than remain silent or speak evasively. Before discussing how the press conference ended, it is worth listening to the words of Bernie Sanders, one of the most outspoken figures on this issue.
I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, but
It is unacceptable for a PAC to become a foreign lobby representing a fascist regime. There is no justification whatsoever for the Democratic Party to accept money from such a source. This must be stopped. The Democrats' acceptance of this money is a huge mistake. not only morally but also politically. While we should already be rejecting corporate donations, accepting funds from a government that seeks to influence our foreign policy and supports the annihilation of a people is a much more serious situation. This is directly contrary to our country's interests. Therefore, we must not bow to the influence of such a lobby. Given these realities, it is not surprising that Donald Trump avoided answering journalists' questions about his so-called plan. On the one hand, the weight of lobby pressure, and on the other, his own inadequacy, meant he did not dare to stand at the podium. As a result, the press conference ended in this manner, with a kind of escape.
But in the last 21 months, Israel has not just gone to war against Hamas, it has gone to war against the entire Palestinian population in ways that are not only immoral, but in clear violation of international and U.S. law. In a territory of just over 2 million inhabitants, 60,000 people in Gaza have been killed and over 140,000 wounded since the beginning of this war. Some 60% of that total are women, children, and the elderly, including 14,000 kids. Incredibly, almost 10% of the population of Gaza has been killed or wounded. Further, the physical infrastructure of Gaza has been basically destroyed. More than 90% of the housing has been made uninhabitable. Water systems and wastewater plants are inoperable. Hundreds of schools have been bombed, the healthcare system almost completely wiped out, and there is no electricity. Many of the people in Gaza have been displaced time and time and time again, forced to move from one location to another with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. All of this amounts to one of the worst man-made humanitarian disasters in modern history. But if you can believe it, it gets even worse. This spring, for 11 weeks, Israel blocked all humanitarian aid from getting into Gaza. No food, no water, no medicine. Since then, in the last 2 months, due to international pressure, Israel has allowed a trickle of aid in, but nowhere near what is required. The result of these inhumane policies is that the people of Gaza are now experiencing mass malnutrition, and dozens of children have actually starved to death. The United States government in recent years has provided tens of billions in military aid to the Netanyahu government. In other words, our tax dollars and our weapons are actively supporting these atrocities. That cannot be allowed to continue. And I don't care if you are a Democrat, if you're a Republican, or you're an independent. I don't care if you're a conservative, a progressive, or a moderate. The American people do not want our tax dollars being used to starve children in Gaza.
Normally, when a leader announces a plan they are truly proud of or wants to share their agenda with enthusiasm, they don't rush off from the press like that. They don't cut their speech short by saying, "Sorry, my team wants me to leave. I have to go now." But that's exactly what Trump did. He had no intention of answering journalists' questions because he had no answers to give. Imagine him being asked a question about Middle East politics. What could he say? At most, he could utter incoherent, meaningless sentences like, "I ended a lot of wars, maybe 11 of them. Who knows? We love wars or we love ending them." That's it. He can't go beyond that. And then to talk about his own statue, gold decorations, and monuments that will immortalize his name in the Holy Land. Can one think of a more obvious example of narcissism? At this point, it is very clear that he is pursuing his personal interests, that everything is essentially a money-making opportunity, a complete scam. And unfortunately, this time he is seizing the opportunity at the expense of the destruction of a people. If a Democrat is reluctant to speak out about this, can he still call himself a Democrat? Trusting Republicans' words has never worked before, and it won't work now. At times of crisis, we need to speak the truth more firmly and more clearly, yet we still back down. Instead of standing up to Trump, we are giving him space. But we must understand this. Once you bow to a bully, tomorrow he will demand more. And that has been Trump's attitude. He has clearly shown that he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. It is now time for Democrats to abandon this line of surrender. This issue is not just about the language of the message, but about taking a concrete stance, standing up to the Israel lobby, being able to say, no, we will no longer be complicit in genocide, is vital in terms of showing who our party really is. Otherwise, this party will increasingly become an accomplice to more crimes. This is precisely why Bernie Sanders' resolute stance on this issue is so valuable.
Agency in United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago they introduced me, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. I'm looking at my teleprompter and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back 30 feet back, and I'm saying, they're introducing me. There's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart. Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
I think there is one thing we all need to accept. The Democratic Party's only allegiance should be to democratic values. We must not fall under the influence of any other power, interest group, or lobby. To ensure this, we need a consistent and universal approach. For example, issues like Iran or the topics Mamdani often raises. If we want to be a party that fights corruption, then we must take a clear stance not just on some issues, but across all areas. For example, Senate candidate Alyssa Slotkin's $10 million crypto lobby donation and Donald Trump's subsequent support for the Genius Act crypto law is one example. This law was designed to reap huge profits from the explosion of the unregulated crypto sector. The crypto lobby was the group that spent the most across all sectors in the last election. Why? Because they profit the most from an unregulated system. Trump has two reasons for this. First, he has been bought off financially. Second, this situation suits his personal interests, his grift. So if we really want to fight corruption, this stance must be universal. It must not stop at opposing big tech companies. It must oppose censorship, oppose the crypto lobby, and develop a consistent approach to all these issues. We will discuss these things in this show. If you support these ideas, you can subscribe to my channel. If you like and support the video, please leave a like. If you watched it all the way through, leave a blue heart in the comments. Also, if you want to support our show in another way, you can subscribe via my Substack page. You can find the link both here and below. We produce a lot of fun content there. Sometimes we poke fun at Carolyn Levitt. Sometimes we address serious issues. Don't give up the fight. Don't let them silence you. Take care of yourselves until we meet again.